Good afternoon. Well, I guess it's good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for being here today. I appreciate the members that are with us directly here and the ones online. We could have dispensed with this and done everything yesterday. I thought we might have Senator Strickland's bill. It's not yet ready, so we'll do that next week. So what we have before us today is SB 333 and SB 397. So I guess I failed to specifically say we're called to order, but we are called to order. We do have, I'll verify, we have a quorum with our members online, so we're in a position to take action. I have also, given that this is a committee day, let both the senators know. Senator Goodman was actually here. He had an ag meeting and let them go. So with that, if there's not objection, I'm just going to, from the chair, put before the committee a substitute to Senate Bill 333. This is LC 500388S. This is the same document we have had before us twice. If folks remember what we were doing there with our post-secondary education, making some corrections and basically streamlining the process, I think we will protect Georgians and provide the opportunity for the department to have the funds necessary. Should help me out, Mr. Shuck. What do you call it when the precipitous closure? That is correct. Where institution, a post-secondary institution, closes without a plan to teach out. So with that, we have that before us. If there are no questions on SB 338, it is in the position that we can move this forward. So do we have any questions online? There, Representative Park.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So in reviewing this bill again, I did have a question regarding section 1 and 2. I think this was brought up during the last committee meeting, specifically on lines 29, 35, 38, and 40. It talks about providing the commission sole discretion to determine post-secondary activity. So I think in just reviewing the bill, my concern is that this provides the commission an incredible amount of discretion as to determine what would actually have to be or the purview of this commission to a certain degree. So I was just wondering if anyone could speak to why the commission should receive as much discretion to determine what activities would require oversight, similar to my concerns regarding all the discretion as to the amount of bonding that some of these organizations would need.
Representative Park, I'm sorry, you were a bit muffled in the beginning. Can you, just for my edification, so I can make note of the bill, the line numbers that you were referring to?
So just on the second page of the bill, sections 1 and section 2, lines 29, 35, 38, and 40, it says that the commission in its sole discretion, and the words I'm focusing on are sole discretion. My understanding and the implications of that language would be that it provides the commission enormous discretion as to what activities would require oversight by the commission. And I really haven't heard a reason why the commission needs as much discretion or leeway to essentially say, these activities are okay, these activities are not.
Okay, Mr. can you come and talk to us about Russell Park? We're going to ask the executive director again. We had this, we had the author present on Tuesday. I wish we had raised that question for the author as well, but the executive director of the commission.
Yes, thank you, Chairman Martin and Representative Park. So Senator Albers brought this up just a little bit in the hearing on Monday as he was giving a brief overview of the bill. But the idea behind this, as the senator had mentioned, was to limit the scope of the oversight of regulatory oversight of the agency in an attempt to focus on the things that are most important, in particular those institutions that are granting certificates and degrees, and those are the ones that are going to be at the highest risk to students, meaning the ones that have to spend the most money. And in the event of a precipitous closure. So the discretionary aspects were added in at the advisement of council when we were first looking at this, in an attempt to, again, make sure that the agency was focusing on the things that was intended to be focused on, but also at the same time, not creating unintended consequences that may be unforeseen at this time. So, for example, to speak specifically to the line 28 and 29 that you mentioned, one of the things we discussed in reworking this definition is that we did not want to inadvertently capture some institutions or folks that are teaching certain things like phlebotomy, let's say, the folks that go and stick you and, draw your blood and do all those things. We wanted to make sure that we didn't inadvertently, through a definition change, by trying to focus what we're focusing on, not cut out some of those things that might affect the health and well-being of Georgians. Because, phlebotomy, just as an example, all of us want somebody that's qualified, that's going to go stick needles in us and those things. So that is part of what we try to do there, to give flexibility, to give focus, but at the same time, not create unintended consequences. And so both of those areas where it mentions sole discretion are for things like that. We tried to, have as much foresight to be able to think what would be covered. But, as you know, there are always things that pop up that could potentially lead to issues. And we just wanted to make sure that we had the ability to capture that if something that we did not foresee.
I'm going to help you a little further with that. And Representative Park, in conferring with the attorney on that, frankly, on line 29, if we struck the words in sole discretion, the commission's the only person, the commission's the only group tasked with doing it. So it is their sole discretion. I think what we're doing is just making it very clear that it is their sole discretion, if you will. And then if you go down further in the other lines, it essentially, this is the commission's job. And I think it's just making that point. So eyes wide open, people realize that's the agency. You don't necessarily go and lobby another group to try to change their mind. The commission does that. I don't know if that is satisfactory, with you on a policy position, but I think that's what the words on paper mean. It's just to clarify. So we don't have a situation where this says agency A, agency B, and the commission, and then we have to divide up who weighs in last. That it's only the commission, and we're just saying it is they and in their sole discretion. Representative Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And this actually goes along with what Representative Park just asked. And it is, so I don't have the latest sub with me. It's in my office, but it's lines 313 and 336 or 337, I believe, unless things got moved around. But it's where it gives the executive director sole discretion. And so my numbers might be a little off. I do apologize, but I'm in section 8, where it doesn't give the commission as a whole, but it gives a single individual, specifically the executive director, the sole discretion to require surety bonds, and gives the executive director sole discretion to require that surety company be headquartered in Georgia, if that, I guess, at their discretion. And so, again, I just wanted to, I guess, reinforce or restate my concerns with sole discretion, especially since that is a single individual, instead of maybe a vote by the commission as a whole.
We do have a board, and there are certain aspects.
Let me get to you. I'm going to let him answer that. First of all, to everyone, we're working off the bill that we had Monday. So this is the same bill that we had Monday and before us yesterday and today. So it is a substitute, but it is a substitute that we have the same bill we've had for those 3 days. So whichever Representative Clark, whichever bill, if you have the bill from Monday, you have the substitute 0388S. And now, I'll go to the gentleman for his answer.
Yeah, so just like with most executive agencies, there are certain aspects in code of things that are given to the agency head or the executive director in this case, and to the board of commissioners. The first few items that were mentioned by Representative Park were given to the commission. The commission meets about 4 or 5 times a year. Bigger items, policy objectives is what the commission directs, whereas the agency head is the one that determines the day-to-day type things. So in the line items you mentioned there, 313, where it talks about executive director discretion, that's just dealing more with what happens in the day-to-day in terms of how we regulate the institutions, and is not a broader policy objective. And so that's why that's there. Same thing is true over in starting on line 335 that you mentioned. But I will mention this, one of the things that was taken out in the sub versus what was passed in the Senate was the Georgia bonding. That was something that Chairman Tippins wanted to have there, but after Legislative Council looked at it, by the time it came over to the House, they said that would be something that would not be constitutional or whatever legal wise. And so they pulled that out. So that part is not in the bill any longer. That was the change from the Senate passed version and then the date we talked about on Monday, and that was it.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. So, Representative Clark, I think the thing you'll also go back. I believe in my discussions with Senator Albers, the idea was to streamline the process. The process has been around for a while. There more institutions, more post-secondary folks that we're working with than we did 10 years ago, and certainly 20. So we wanted to protect students first of all, but also work on the workings of the office. If you go down further in the bill in line 315, it used to read such applicant will file with the executive director. Now it says with the commission. I mean, that's you file that with the office, rather than they have to hand it to the executive director. So I believe is the intent here to make the process more streamlined, as opposed to certainly Mr. Shook, a power grab, if you will, for him. I think it was to make more streamlined. Number 25.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At the appropriate time, I will offer a due pass.
Yes, ma'am. Let's see if we have any further questions. I have none. We don't have anyone signed up to speak, and we're off the same bill that we've had for the last 3 times. So we are in that position. SB 333 LC 500388S. What's the pleasure of the committee on this item? Have a motion due passes or a second? Have a motion and a second. Motion by Chairman Mathiak, seconded by Representative Holland. Just due pass. Is there any discussion? Any further discussion? No further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
All right, let me go back again. I'm going to, because there's a delay here. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? No. It passes and moves on to rules with the due pass recommendation. SB 333 LC 500388S. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item we have before us is Senate Bill 397 by Senator Goodman. This is LC 500321-ECS. This is the as passed version from the Senate. Again, this is the same document we have had Monday, yesterday, and today. Committee have any questions in regards to this item? If you will recall, what we're doing is moving the payment up earlier to help folks get in a position to prepare for and then take the test. Yes, Representative Clark. I'm sorry, Representative, I looked at the wrong hand up. I have a virtual hand from Representative Park, not Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, I thought this was a great bill. Just wanted to follow up and obtain additional clarification on lines 68 to 71 regarding an incarcerated individual and that person's access to this GED voucher. Is someone from TCSG or the author available to just help provide clarification? Yes.
Yeah, I think we have President Riley, and I'm glad that we can clear that up because I'll just let President Riley clear that up about how Hope funds can be expended with those that are in the unfortunate situation to be in our criminal justice system. President Riley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Representative Park, for your question. State statute prohibits the use of Hope dollars for those that are incarcerated. So the high school equivalency test fees that will be provided by this bill could not be used for someone while they are incarcerated. However, when they have paid their debt to society and are ready to take a test, they certainly would be eligible at that time.
Thank you.
Did you have a follow-up, Representative Park?
No, Mr. Chairman.
I do have one. We don't have anybody from the Department of Corrections here, but I seem to remember from times past when I had that budget that some of our institutions, maybe not all, but actually provided that the education necessary to prepare for the GED while one was incarcerated. And I don't believe they were in a place where they were charging the inmate for that service. Do you recall that from your previous service in the legislature?
Mr. Chairman, I believe you are correct, and I believe that is still occurring. I can't speak to how the payments may flow for any fees for the GED completion.
I think it's in some cases, and I know this, I hesitate to bring this up because this is a policy debate for people about the private, the folks that offer private services for incarceration.
Mhm.
But I believe one of our, at least one of our contracts, and maybe all of them at that time, required them to offer some portion of that service as part of their contract with the state to people that were our guests, for lack of a better term, the inmates in the institution. But Representative Park, you bring up a good point, and something that we can address. We can cross over and address with Chairman Hitchens over in the Appropriations Committee if we have created unknowingly a hole in the process that corrections needs a backfill. I'm sure we can work with them to do that. And thanks for bringing that up. Number 22.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's one other thing that I addressed with you was those young men and women that were incarcerated did not take the GED, but they went through the courses and what have you. If they were eligible, once they are out of the system, are they eligible to come back to take the test? And the other thing is, can they take it if they have been put on probation and but they're out working and not locked up, in a sense?
Thank you, Representative, for that question. There's no restriction on utilization of this high school equivalency program
Mhm.
post incarceration.
Okay. Thank you.
Are there any further questions? Senate Bill 397 LC 50 0321 ECS. Any further questions? Representative Moore, you're virtually there.
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
I'm actually here, but I'm virtual. I just wanted to get some clarification here. Young men and women who are incarcerated, they're not eligible to take the GED while they are incarcerated. Is that correct? There was a time when they could, and I'm wondering, that has changed.
Yeah. To be clear, what I believe to be the case is that there are at least some of our institutions that do offer that, but to be definitive about that, Representative, I'd have to get with Colonel Hitchens and look at the contracts, because my recollection is coming from a number of years ago when I handled that budget. I know that was one of the things in the contracts with at least our private providers. And then we can get with our corrections department. But I believe the idea is that was one of the things that was offered in the system that they could take the courses. And I am, again, this is a supposition. I should make it, but I want to represent it as such. I would suppose if you were allowing them to take those classes, you would have a way to deliver the test. To do
Now, I
that.
do understand that the Hope Scholarship won't pay the funds while they,
No, that's correct. Hopes cannot pay for individuals that are incarcerated. But again, if they're incarcerated, they're in, for lack of a better term, in the state's care. And I believe that was again a decade ago that was funded through corrections and some of the private prison contracts. But we can affirm that that's going on today. If it's not, that is certainly a policy decision that we could look at. What I would say is this bill is not impacting that in terms of it. If it's being
Right.
offered, this bill doesn't impact
I
that.
understand. I just wanted to get clarification since you didn't mention
ma'am.
it. That way I would know.
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right, well, we'll check into that then. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you, Representative. Any further question? SB 397. If not, we're in a position to take action on this bill. What's the pleasure of the committee?
Move to pass.
I believe that was Representative Carpenter has joined.
Yes, sir.
We have a motion. Is there a second? Have a motion and a second that Senate Bill 397 do pass LC 500321 ECS. Is there discussion? Discussion on the motion? Discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Did you hear me, Mr. Chairman? It's Representative Bentley. Aye.
Representative Earhart, aye.
Representative Rick Williams, aye.
Aye.
Enthusiastic ayes. All right, I'm going to stop the ayes at that point and ask, is there anybody opposed? Silence, I hear. You know, this item moves on to rules with due pass recommendation unanimously. Senate Bill 397. That is all we had on the agenda this morning. I thank everyone for coming over. Glad we had the opportunity to meet and answer these questions. It was well worth it. And I thank you all. If there's no further business before the committee, will stand adjourned without objection. I see no objection and we are adjourned.